Shifting to face me, he asks, "Have you heard from Candace today?" "No. She has her 2-hour studio today on a lecture, but she should be back soon." "You worried?" "Always," I say, as I kick my feet up on the coffee table and lean back into the couch. I watch Mark, and I can tell he wants to say something. And now I'm not worrying about Candace so much. "What's up with you?" I ask him, and when he looks at me, I can definitely tell he's nervous. "Look, I know you love Candace, and I need you to know that I do too. She's amazing, but I think her staying here is hurting her more than it's helping." I let out a deep breath and look straight forward as he continues. "I think her going back home will help her. She's so dependent on you right now, and I worry that she's going to fall into a rut." I turn back to him and defend, "She still has really bad nights." "I know this isn't easy on you. I get it, and I know you want her here, but I think her standing on her own will maybe force her to deal with this more." What he's saying makes sense. Of course I want her here. All I want to do is protect her. Looking down at the cup of coffee, I nod my head, and Mark takes it from my hands and sets it on the table. "You two are so close, and I understand why, but I think her going back home might be the best thing you can do for her." He takes my hand in his and says, "You can't keep her here forever, you know? But I want to." Mark and I both turn around when the door opens and we see Candace walking in. She quickly glances our way while walking straight to the bathroom. I look at Mark and sigh when I hear her turn on the shower. "You know her better than I do. I just wanted to be honest with you and tell you my thoughts." Mark looks down and shakes his head before looking back up. "I'm sorry if I—" Cutting him off, I tell him, "Don't be sorry. It's fine, and maybe you're right. I just feel helpless, and I don't know what else to do." He lies back next to me, and we just sit there. Mark is right. I can't hide her away forever. She has to be able to deal with this on her own. But I hate the thought of not being there for her because I know that right now she's crying in the shower. I could see it all over her face when she walked through the door. Guilt is a bitch, and it's consuming me as I sit here with Mark. I look over at him with defeat written all over my face. He reaches out and runs his hand down my neck before I just can't take it anymore. I hop off the couch and walk into the bathroom. Sure enough, she's sitting in the corner of the shower with her head in her hands. I open the door and shut off the water, handing her a towel. When she looks up at me with bloodshot eyes, I reach for her hand and help her up. Wrapping the towel around her, we walk into my bedroom. "Talk to me, sweetie." She heads over to the closet and tells me, "Give me a second and I'll come out, okay?" "Okay." When I return to Mark, he stands up and places his hands on either side of my face. "She will be okay," he tries to assure me, and all I can do is nod. When she comes out into the living room, she scrunches in between the two of us. "What happened?" I ask, as I lace my fingers with hers. "Nothing happened. I didn't think I'd be so scared." "Scared of what?" She looks at me with tears rimming her eyes and says, "Of him." When I shake my head, she continues, "What if I see him? I was so paranoid all day. I kept thinking I would turn a corner and he would be there. It was awful." "Have you ever seen him on campus before?" Mark questions, and she shakes her head. "Do you want me to try and meet you when your classes get out so you don't have to walk across campus alone?" I snap my head to look at Mark when he says this. I can't believe how genuine this guy is. Even though I don't want Candace to leave, I know that Mark's heart is in the right place with what he said to me. He's probably seeing things more clearly than I am. But before I can even mention anything, she says, "I'll be fine. I just need to keep going about my days like I used to." Looking up at me, she asks, "Can you come home with me on Wednesday? I don't want to go alone in case Kimber is there." "What?" I need to go back home. I just want you to come with me. I'm caught off guard when she says this, and when I look across at Mark, he gives me an encouraging nod. Yeah, of course, but, Jace, I'll be fine. I don't believe her lie for 1 second, but I don't say anything, because I know she doesn't want me to. Nothing about this feels good to me. Chapter 14. I grab Candace's bags and follow her down to the parking garage. I hate that she's going home. I hate this feeling in the pit of my stomach. I just hate this whole situation. She tried convincing me that she would be okay when we woke up this morning. She finally got her sleeping pills, and the past 2 nights she's been getting more rest. She still wakes throughout the night, but she hasn't had a nightmare. I still worry, though. I can't help it. I'll follow you, I tell her as I toss her bags in her trunk. Okay. When we drive up to her house, Kimber's car is gone. Candace has been uneasy about seeing her again, and I don't blame her. When I get out of my car, I get her bags and carry them in for her. Are you sure everything is all right? I ask, as I start helping her unpack. Yeah, Jace. I can't stay with you forever, and you and Mark don't need me around all the time. It upsets me that she feels this way, but I can also tell that Mark has been feeling the same as well. We barely get to spend any alone time together, and I know it bothers him, but he would never come out and say anything. He's too nice. I watch Candace, and I know she's upset. The thought of her sleeping alone tonight bothers me, but Mark is right. This is probably the best thing for her. So I need to put my feelings aside and just let her be. What time do you get off work tonight? Do you want me to meet you afterward? I ask. I close tonight, so I'll leave around 11, but you don't have to meet me there. I'm working with Roxy, so I won't be alone. She grabs her laundry basket and starts heading toward the laundry room as I follow. When we walk into the living room, I pick up my backpack, and Candace walks me to the door. Thank you, she says, and I turn to face her. For what? Everything. When her brows pinch together, I know she is trying not to cry. Sweetie, I feel like I haven't done nearly enough. I know she doesn't like to talk when she gets like this, so she shakes her head and the tears spill over. I pull her into me and brace my arms tightly around her, combing my fingers through her hair until she settles down. You keep the key to my place, okay? Come over any time you need, even if it's in the middle of the night. Nodding her head, she finally speaks. I love you. I love you too. Text me tonight when you get home. Okay, she says, and I give her a kiss before turning to walk to my car. I told Mark I would come over to his place after I dropped Candace off, so I start driving that way. I take this time to relieve myself of everything I have been keeping bottled up this past week. The tears come effortlessly. The pain that I feel for Candace is unreal. I want to turn my car around and go pick her up. I feel guilty that I'm going to spend my day with Mark and not her. Turning into his driveway, I wipe the tears with the back of my hand before getting out of the car. I know I look like shit, and I know Mark will be able to tell how upset I am, but for once, I don't let it bother me. The way he has been there for me and for Candace this past week has revealed a side of him that I find myself falling for. As I walk to his front door, I know I am walking towards a person who has proven to be dependable for me. So when I knock and he answers, I don't hide my pain. It's written all over me. He wraps his arms around me, and I finally let my walls down and cry. He pulls me inside, and I grab onto him as I let out everything I've been keeping in. Mark doesn't say a word. He just holds me tight and allows me to accept the comfort that only he can give. I can't do this with Candace because I need to be her anchor, but I've finally found a person that I can do this with. I'm finally allowing myself to be open enough to have this release, and to have it with Mark is more than what I deserve. Shifting back from me, he braces his hands on the sides of my face and looks into my eyes. I don't hide from him. I don't want to. He leans in and presses his lips onto mine. This kiss is different. I feel like I need it, like I couldn't breathe without it. So I don't move as we linger in this moment for a little longer. We finally drag our lips from each other, and I rest my forehead against his as I take in a deep breath. Mark holds my hand and walks me over to the couch to sit down. Leaning back in his arms, I say, "Sorry." "Don't be." "I just don't know what to do," I admit. "You're doing everything you can, babe." "Was she okay when you left?" "She was crying. I hate seeing her like that. She never used to cry. Ever. And now, it's all she seems to do." Mark tightens his grip around me, and when he does, I feel a need for closeness consume me, so I decide to talk for a while. "She's just broken, and I don't know how to fix her. And now I feel guilty that I'm here with you and not there with her. But at the same time, I feel like an ass because I want to be here with you. Alone. I know you want to have time with me, and I want to give you that, but I'm torn in a way, and no matter what, I feel guilty." "Chase, you're not doing anything wrong, and neither Candace nor I feel that you are. That's only in your head." He takes a moment before he continues. "And yes, of course I want time alone with you, but I need you to want that too. Same page, right?" "I do want that, but not with the guilt." He shifts so that he is looking at me when he says, "Knowing that you want it, guilt or not, is all I need. I hate that you feel guilty, but I know it's only because you love so much. I promise you you're not doing anything wrong, so you shouldn't hold your choices against yourself." When I see the sincerity in his eyes, I try to convince myself of his words. I sit up and lean my elbows on my knees, and when I feel the touch of Mark's hand on my back, I drop my head and blink out the tears that have been rimming my eyes. Thoughts of Jack start to pierce into my thoughts, and I grow angry as I think about how much this has changed her. When I think about what that piece of shit did to her, I feel my blood heat in my veins. Resting my head in my hands, I seethe. I want to kill him. Who? Jack. The asshole that did this to her. I stand up, not able to sit still with the bitter fury that is starting to overtake me. As I pace back and forth, Mark scoots to the edge of the couch and says, "I know you do." My gut roils with anxiety and rage. Raking my hand through my hair, I turn to Mark and tell him, "She begged me not to do anything, but I have to. Fuck!" "You are doing something. You're giving her what she needs from you." He says this so calmly, but I feel myself starting to lose it. "It's not enough when that son of a bitch isn't paying for this shit," I spit out and take my car keys out of my pocket. Fuck it. I rush to the door, but Mark lurches over the back of the couch and is there before me. "Get the fuck out of my way, man." "You need to calm your shit down," he says in an even, stern tone. Reaching out to force him to move, he takes one quick step to the side, banding his arms around my sternum and pinning my arms to my sides. "Get the fuck off me!" I bend my arms and try thrashing my elbows into him, but I can't get any movement. "Not until you calm down." Adrenaline is pumping through me, but his hold is too strong for me to break. "You didn't fucking see her, Mark. You didn't see what that fucker did to her." "I saw enough, man. I get it." "He fucking destroyed her." This time, when I jerk my body, I break his hold on me. When I get to the door, he yells, "You're the only one she trusts." His words stop me from turning the knob. "If you leave, you'll fuck that up for her." Everything tunnels, and all I can see is her on the bottom of my shower. My heart is heavy, and it beats hard against my chest. I feel so goddamn worthless. I don't move as I speak into the door, breathless. She's never going to do anything about this. She's just going to pretend it never happened, and he'll never pay for what he did. I choke back a breath as tears fall down my face, and then turn to look at him, So tell me, what the hell do I do? I beg, and when he steps to me, I drop my head into the curve of his neck and break. Mark wraps himself around me and doesn't loosen his grip. I feel myself start to calm down and try and force myself to relax. I feel worthless knowing who did this and where to find him but not doing anything. I know you do, but you have to get your head around reality. When he says this, I pull back and look at him dead on. He wipes my cheeks with his knuckles and says, "Reality is, if you beat the shit out of him, then what? You break your promise to Candace and wind up hurting her more." "So I just do nothing and let him get away with this?" I ask, not sure if I can do that. If that's what she wants, then yes. But that's her cross to bear, not yours. When I drop my head, he tells me, "You have to stop beating yourself up. You aren't doing anything wrong, Jace." I let out a deep sigh, feeling defeat wash over me. She's all I've had for a long time. I know. I can't lose her. I know, but you can only do so much. But I feel like I'm not doing enough. You don't even have to do anything. It's enough, because you're enough. His words hit deep. I suddenly think back to how I hurt him. How could I be so scared of someone that's so sweet? I take his hand in mine and offer another apology for my actions. "I'm so sorry that I hurt you before." Giving me a hint of a smile, he says, "It's done with." "It doesn't make it right." "I know, but I also understand why you did it, and I hate that you ever felt that way." Tugging on my hand, he says, "Come on. You look exhausted, and I have no intentions of going to class today." He leads me to his room, and we kick off our shoes before lying down in bed. Mark pulls the covers over us, and I draw him in close to me, grazing my jaw along his neck. I've never lost my cool like that in front of anyone, but having him see me so stripped makes me feel a new level of closeness with him. "I have an idea," he mumbles close to my ear. "What's that?" "Why don't we have a night in with Candace? Try and take her mind off of everything. Just have fun." Tilting my chin up, I kiss him. I wrap my hand around the back of his neck and grip tight. "So that's a yes?" He laughs when I pull back. "Thanks," I whisper against his skin, and he presses his lips to mine as I breathe. "No one has ever given me what you do." He runs his hand down my cheek and looks me in the eyes when he tells me, "I want to give you everything." Those words are the only affirmation I need to know how he feels about me, about us. And I feel it too. Mark and I spent most of the day in bed together. We really needed this time, so we took it. Having him like this, it feels right. For once, it finally feels right. In the midst of this chaos that surrounds me, he has a way about him that brings me back to solid ground. I know I need him. I need him in a way I haven't needed anyone in the past. We go back to my place after running out for a quick dinner. I told Mark that I gave Candace a key to my apartment, and that I wanted to be there in case she came over in the middle of the night. He agreed that was probably the best thing to do. Both of us get ready for bed, and I'm happy that we don't have to be apart, especially after today. A big piece of me needs him close right now. I lie down, and Mark slides in behind me, wrapping his body around mine. I reach for my phone when it chimes. "It's Candace," I say, as I open the text to read. She texted me when we were at dinner to let me know she had gotten off work and was heading home. Text: "Good night. I miss you." I hold the phone out so that Mark can read what she sent, and what I type back to her. "Miss you too. Did you see Kimber?" "Yeah. Didn't really say much. It's awkward." "I'm sorry, sweetie. Hopefully it will get better, and things will get less weird for you guys." "Maybe. Is Mark with you?" "Yeah." "Tell him I said hi. Love you guys." "We love you too." I set the phone down next to my pillow, and Mark nestles his head in the crook of my neck, giving it a couple pecks before asking, "Are you okay?" I shake my head, no. "Talk to me." "It doesn't feel right," I say, as I roll over in his arms and face him. "Neither of us wants to be alone, but I'm here with you, and she's all by herself." His eyebrows knit together, and he lets out a sigh. He doesn't say anything, but really, what can he say? He just kisses me and holds me, and for some reason, it's enough. The heat from the sun feels good on my face. The mixture of sand and salt on my skin and in the air I breathe is comforting, and I need it so badly, the comfort. How did I get here? How did life get so fucked up? I stare out at the sun as its first drop of fire hits the water and soaks it up. This is my favorite part, you know? Fire and water. Yeah, I whisper. The way they melt together flawlessly. You wouldn't think that two things that should never unite would be so perfect for each other, but they are. It's beautiful. Her voice echoes in my head as I see the reflection of fire scatter across the choppy water. She's right. It's beautiful. I miss you. The words hurt coming out of me. My throat constricts in pain, and my voice trembles, but I have to say it. I've never left you. I've needed you so many times, but you're never there. I choke out around the tears that run down my face. I'm here, Jace. Peeling my eyes away from the blue ocean, I meet Gold. She still looks the same, 18 years old and soft golden eyes. I age, and she remains. You would think she would be cold, but when I reach over and take her hand in mine, she's so warm. She's gorgeous, but painful to look at. She smiles, happy and peaceful. I'm so alone, Jace. As she shifts to face me, she says, No, you're not. I don't respond. I simply stare at her, etching every detail into my memory because I know this won't last. It can't. Life is just cruel like that. She's going to be okay. Denying her words, I say, I don't think so. She's so lost. You're her home. You can't be lost if you're home, she assures me. But you're my home, so where does that leave me? She shakes her head slightly when she questions, What about Mark? What is he to you? I don't really know. God, Jace, I've done horrible things, I confess as I continue to cry. Mom and Dad won't even talk to me. You couldn't keep lying to them, though. And Mark loves you. You can't be afraid for the world to see you. I'm afraid they won't understand. Maybe they won't, but the Jace I know wouldn't care what others think. You're gay. So what? Her words make me laugh, and I've needed to hear them for so long. You're so much stronger than this. Don't let life stand in the way of what you want, what you deserve. She grips my shoulders under her hands and tells me, Life isn't going to be here forever. It passes by quickly, and the time is lost. So don't waste it. When she lets go of me, she turns to stare out at the water. Jace, you have everything that was stolen from me. I lost it all, and you're wasting it. And for what? Because you're scared? Taking her words, I admit, I think I might love him. I meet her eyes and continue. I know I hardly know him, but I think I could really love him. Her smile is perfect and everything I need to see right now. We turn our attention back to watch the last of the sun before it's completely submerged in the water. A union that should never be, but always is, day after day, a cycle that never ends. I'm content. In this moment, I'm happy. I feel like I have everything, until I look to my side and find myself staring down an endless path of sand. My eyes flood, and I let them fall shut. When I open my eyes again, I stare out the rain-covered window in my room. Even though Mark's arms are wrapped around me, I want to leave him and go back. Just like that, she's gone, and I am here, under the gray-covered sky, far from our beach. Sitting up, I turn and shift to the edge of the bed and lower my head in my hands. I replay her words. I try not to lose the sound of her voice, but my focus is interrupted when I hear, "Are you okay?" I hate that dreams have to end, but they do, and reality ensues. I turn and fall back down on the bed. Mark doesn't say anything else. He just watches me as I lie here. My chest hurts. It aches. I'm sure the pain is written on my face. Rolling on my side towards Mark, I tell him, "I miss her." "Who?" "My sister." He reaches over and pulls me close to him. I can see the question in his eyes, and I know he doesn't know what to say, so I fill in the blanks for him. "She was in my dream." I pause before revealing, "I know it isn't real, but it feels like it is." "I don't know what to say," he admits, but I move past his words and continue. "She knew everything. I didn't even have to tell her." I watch as Mark's eyes begin to rim with tears that he never allows to fall. I'm pretty sure I know what he's thinking. "You're crazy. Of course she knows everything. She's just a figment of your imagination. It's all in your head." I know that's logic, but I choose not to believe it. I lie there in his arms as I allow my mind to drift back to the beach, not wanting to lose her just yet, pretending that the warmth of Mark's body is the warmth of the sun. I know it's desperate, but I do it anyway. Chapter 15. "What the hell is all this?" I ask, as I dig through the black and white Sephora bag that Mark tossed on the coffee table. "I told you, we're going to make her smile tonight." Taking out a small tub, I read the label. "Glam Glow, Tingling and Exfoliating Mud Mask." I start laughing and shake my head. "Dude, girls like this shit." "Really?" I say with a tilt of my head. "How do you know?" "'Cause my sisters are into this junk." I tease Mark, but I love that he has gone to this length to give my girl a fun night. I watch him as he walks into my kitchen, takes a bottle of beer from the fridge, and returns to his bag of nail polish, pore strips, and a couple more things I can't recognize. He makes me laugh, and I intend on thoroughly enjoying watching him emasculate himself tonight. I take advantage of the time alone we have before Candace gets here, and all but devour him on the couch. I'm surprised that we haven't had sex yet. Normally, that's the first thing I do with guys. Hell, that's the only thing I have ever really done with guys. But with Mark, it doesn't bother me to move slowly. We scramble off the couch when we hear the door open. Candace steps in and gives us both a knowing look, but Mark grabs her hand and starts talking to her before she can say anything. After a few beers, I sit back in my chair and watch Candace and Mark apply mud to each other's faces. Laughing, I say to Mark, "You know how ridiculous you look with that shit on you?" "Shut up," Candace teases. "Your face could benefit from a good cleansing if your panties weren't wadded up so tight." Mark and I both laugh, and it's nice to see her in a more light-hearted mood. Candace sips her wine as she questions Mark about everything from his band to his family. She props her feet on his lap, and Mark proceeds to paint her toenails. I watch him with her. He sits there, wearing nothing but a pair of gym shorts, with mud on his face, trying to cheer up the only other girl I have ever loved, aside from my sister. It's in this moment that I know I'm starting to fall in love. The fact that he is doing this, and I know it's more for me than it is for her, makes me see how much he really does care. When Mark finishes, he hops off the couch and heads into the kitchen. "Grab me a water while you're in there," Candace hollers to Mark as he's rummaging around. When he starts sauntering back into the living room, water in hand, with his face covered in a brown facial mask, I notice the smile that finally appears on Candace's face. I laugh at how ridiculous Mark looks right now. Handing Candace the bottle of water, he says, "Here you go, sweetheart." "Thanks." She shakes her head at him and grins. I hear her let out a small giggle, and then she turns to look at me. I feel less weight in my chest knowing that Mark just gave her this. If only for a moment, he gave her a piece of her old self back. I give her a wink before Mark falls across my lap and pulls me in for a kiss, getting mud all over my face. "Dude, that shit is everywhere," I try to say with force, but it's betrayed by my laughter. "Come on, kiss me, Jace," he teases, and I try pushing him away, but he fights to stay on top of me, smearing that crap all over me. Mark and I both stop wrestling when we hear Candace laughing loudly at us. The three of us stare at each other, all knowing each other's thoughts, without even speaking. We know what just happened was big, so we just absorb the moment. When it starts getting late, Mark and Candace go to the bathroom to clean their faces off, and I get ready for bed. I can hear the two of them laughing quietly over the running water. It's the best damn sound in the world to me right now, and he gave it to me. When they walk into the room, Candace slips under the covers, and I wrap myself around her as Mark slides in behind me and wraps himself around me. I love that the three of us can be here. These are the two people I love the most, and knowing they love each other too is near perfect. Candace lets out a deep breath and says, "Thanks, guys." I kiss the top of her head when Mark says, "Anytime," and then presses his lips to the back of my neck. Candace wound up spending most of the day with me. Mark had to get some stuff done before his show tonight. It's been a while since I've heard him play, but tonight I'm going with him to Blair to hang out. I shrug on my shirt and throw some gel in my hair when I hear my cell ring. "You here?" "Yeah, I'm around the corner by Pete's," Mark says. Walking out of my building, I round the corner and see Mark's white Range Rover parked by the curb. When I hop in, I lean over and give him a quick kiss before he starts making the short drive to the bar. He parks in the back lot and grabs his guitar from the back seat. "So, Ryan, the guy that owns this place, wants us to start playing every Saturday," he says as we start walking through the lot to the back door. "Yeah? You guys gonna commit to that?" "I think so. The money is really good and saves us the headache of trying to find gigs around the city." Opening the door, we walk through the back and into the bar. The place is packed, but then again, it's after 9 o'clock on a Saturday night. "Hey, man." "Hey," Mark says to a guy whose arms are covered in tattoos. "Chaz, this is Chase." Looking over at me, he says, "Chasen plays drums." Nodding my head, I say, "Yeah, I think we've met before." We shake hands, and then he tells Mark, "Everyone's ready, so we should." "Hey, guys, can you get the others and meet me in my office real quick?" "Yeah, no problem," Mark says to the guy that is approaching us. "Ryan, this is Jace, the guy I was telling you about." Ryan reaches out his hand, and I shake it as he says, "Jace, man, good to meet you." "Yeah, same here," I respond, and I wonder what Mark has told him. I start to feel a little insecure being with Mark like this, around these guys. I wish I didn't. I wish I could be as comfortable as Mark is, but I'm not. Not yet. Chasen follows Ryan to the back, and Mark tells me, "I gotta go with them. I'll catch up with you later, though." I nod my head, and I tense up when he kisses me. I know he senses my reaction by the look on his face. "I'm gonna go get a beer. I'll see you later," I say, before Mark turns away. I walk over to the large bar and have to wait a while before one of the girls comes over. "Hey, sorry about the wait. I'm Mel. What can I get you?" You have Full Sail, Amber? Yeah, in the bottle, she replies, as I nod my head. Jace. I turn to see Ryan standing beside me, leaning his elbows on the bar top. You ever been here before? Yeah, this crowd is a bit insane, though, I say when Mel hands me the beer. Here you are. Don't bother with the tab, Mel, Ryan tells her. Thanks, man. No problem, he says, when I hear Mark's band starting to play. The music is loud and blasts through the air. I take a seat on the stool that opens up next to me and drink my beer. Leaning my back against the bar, I watch Mark as he plays. He looks hot with his guitar slung low on his body, muscles flexing in his arms and shoulders as he plays. Your guy's band is fucking popular. They brought in a huge crowd last time they played here as well. Having him refer to Mark as my guy makes me uncomfortable. The fact that he knows I'm gay and that Mark is my boyfriend embarrasses me. Not because of Mark. It's me, and I know this. Ryan doesn't seem to be fazed by it at all, which surprises me. To look at him, you can tell he is all man. You go to school together? He asks when I don't respond to his last statement. Yeah, I holler over the music. We're in the same major. And what's that? Architecture. He turns around and yells for Mel to grab him a beer when a guy approaches him from behind and claps his shoulder. Ryan, fuck, man. He turns around and questions, What? That chick you flung on me last night? What a fucking psycho. Ryan shakes his head and introduces us. Jace, this is my dick of a friend, Gavin. What the fuck ever, Gavin says as he laughs at Ryan. Looking at me, he says, Watch out for this dipshit and don't let him hook you up with anyone. His matchmaking skills suck balls. Find your own ass, Gav. I'm not your fucking hookup. Not anymore. What the hell has happened to you lately? Nothing, Ryan tells him. Just sick of wasting my time. Turning to me, Gavin says, Ryan's been a bit of a pussy lately. I laugh at him and take a swig of my beer. Don't waste your time buddying up with Jace, Ryan tells him. Sad. I guess it's just me trying to get laid, huh? Sorry, looks like it, I say. Are these the same guys that played here last week? He asks Ryan. Yeah, they're going to be playing here every Saturday now. They just signed a contract earlier. They looking for a label? Ask this guy. I have no clue. Ryan responds as he tips the neck of his bottle towards me. You know them? Yeah, I say. But I don't know. I only know Mark and just met the drummer. This is Mark's guy, Ryan tells him. And fuck if that doesn't make me want to leave this bar. But Gavin doesn't even blink when he says, Yeah, I met Mark the other day. Cool guy. Well, if they are, I work for Sub Pop Records. I'd be interested in talking with them. I nod my head, still feeling awkward, and turn to holler for another beer. Ryan wanders off while I wait for Mel to get my drink. Sitting down next to me, Gavin says, How long have you known Ryan? Just met him tonight, I say, as Mel hands me the beer. I turn back around and watch Mark while listening to Gavin talk about some of his history with Ryan. From what I'm hearing, Ryan doesn't seem too far off from me. Well, from who I used to be before I started seeing Mark. I don't judge him because I have to wonder what demons he must be trying to cover up. I can tell Gavin fucks around for the sake of fucking around. This kid is obnoxious, but he's hot. I'll give him that much credit. I look over and spot a tall blonde running her hands down Ryan's stomach, but he clutches her wrists before she can slip them in his pants. Whatever he's saying to her is pissing her off. He lets go and starts walking back toward the bar. What the hell is up with you? That chick was all over your nuts, Gavin says. Ryan ignores him and leans over the bar to holler at Mel. Mel, I'll be up in my office. I'll come down later, okay? Yeah, no problem, Rye, she says as she's mixing a drink. Gavin catches Ryan's arm and questions, Dude, seriously? What the hell is going on with you? Jerking his arm back, he says, Not in the mood. You haven't been for a couple of weeks. As he shakes his head, looking frustrated as hell, he says, "You wouldn't get it, man," before turning and walking away. That guy used to be so much fun. Used to bang anything that stepped in front of him. Dude's been in a fucked up mood lately. Maybe he just got tired of using people, I say, and he looks over at me, eyebrows raised. It's not using when they willingly give. I don't expect him to understand, so I don't bother saying anything else. And luckily, I don't have to when that same blonde approaches him and diverts his attention away from me. I just sit back, drink my beer, and watch the one guy I know I would never use the way I did so many before him. I spend the next hour drinking and getting to know Mel a little better. She's a pretty cool chick. Her husband is a drummer in a local band. We talk off and on while she works, but eventually Ryan returns. Sitting next to me, he looks worn out. Mel sets down a cup of coffee in front of him, and after he thanks her, he turns to look at me. "Did Gav leave?" I look over my shoulder when the band stops playing. Mark slings his guitar over his head, and I turn back to Ryan. "I don't know, he ran off with some girl over an hour ago, so probably." Shaking his head, he says, "Sorry about earlier. He's a lot to take at times." I turn around when I feel Mark's hand on my shoulder. He looks hot as hell. His sweaty shirt clings to him, and my conflicting feelings start colliding. "Hey, you bored yet?" he asks. "No, I had the pleasure of hanging out with Gavin for a while," I joke, and hear Ryan laughing. "That guy's crazy, but funny as hell," Mark says, as he wraps his arm around me. I move back slightly when he starts to pull me closer to him. "You okay?" "Yeah, just tired," I lie to him. I hate that. I'm not okay. Fuck. I wish I was, but I'm not. I hear my sister's words replay in my head. The Jace I know wouldn't care what others think. But to not care takes more strength than I think I have. Mark has never done anything wrong. He's perfect. He deserves to be with someone like him. Someone sure of himself and not so damn awkward and scared for people to see him for what he is. I know Mark senses my hesitation because he quickly removes his arm, grabs the beer that Mel set down for him, and walks toward Chasen, who is still on stage working on his drum kit. "You guys okay?" Ryan asks as he sips his coffee. I try blowing it off and respond with, "Yeah, it's been a crazy couple of weeks." "You have no idea, man," he says, and then lets out a sigh. Clearly, this guy has a lot on his mind, but I don't say anything as we sit there and drink. For the next half hour, Mark's band finishes their last set. A couple of girls approach Ryan, and he pushes them away without giving them a glance. Mel walks over to him and whispers, "Why don't you head home? Max and I can close everything up." He doesn't speak when he pushes his coffee mug towards her and stands up. Giving me a nod, he turns and walks away. Mel takes the mug, and when I look at her, she just shakes her head and quietly says, "Don't ask." When the night winds down, Mark packs up his stuff, and I follow him out to his car. He seems irritated from earlier, so the drive back to my place is silent. When we get close, I say, "Park in the garage," because I don't want him to go home. I need to talk to him. I need to figure out how to move past this, and I need to be honest with him. He doesn't respond. He just turns the corner and drives down into the underground lot. When we walk inside my place, he heads to the kitchen and grabs a bottle of water. "You mind if I take a quick shower?" "No," I say, as he is already walking to my bathroom. When he turns the water on, I text Candace to check in. "Just got home. Interesting evening." I go to my room, strip out of my clothes, and throw on a pair of gym shorts. My phone chimes as I slide into bed. "Is that good or bad?" "Bad. Everything was weird." "With Mark?" "It's me with Mark. I was really cold to him because I was embarrassed. You have nothing to be ashamed or embarrassed of. But I am, and Mark knows it. What did he say? Nothing. He's in the shower now. How are you? You need to talk to him, and I'm fine. About to go to bed. Just been studying. I'm gonna talk to him. I love you, sweetie. I love you too. Tell Mark the same. I hear the water turn off, and I shoot one last text. I will. Call me tomorrow, okay? Mark walks into the room with a towel slung low on his hips and water still beaded on his smooth skin. Fuck, he's hot. He looks over at me when my phone chimes again. I pick it up to read the text as Mark opens my dresser to get a pair of my shorts. I have to work early. I'll text when I'm off. Night. Night. Candace says she loves you. He doesn't say anything when he slips under the covers with me. I turn to face him and tell him, I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't feel this way, but I don't know how to let it go. Mark just lays there, his hair still wet, and looks in my eyes. I let down my walls and open up. I don't want to hide parts of me from you, but I don't know how to do that. I get scared. I'm afraid people are judging me. I close my eyes for a second before looking back at him. You seem so sure of yourself, and I'm so far from that. I want to give that to you. I don't want to mess this up, and I don't want you to change the way you are with me, because everything you do it perfectly. When he reaches his hand around the back of my neck, he shifts closer to me. He barely presses his lips to mine when he whispers, It's not always that easy for me either. I look into his eyes and can see the honesty there. Having him give me those words takes some pressure off. I wrap my arms around him and kiss him. When I seal my lips with his, he slides his tongue along mine, feeling me, and I roll on top of him. I drag my mouth down and along his jaw as he tangles his fingers in my hair. Running my hand down his cut stomach, I softly bite the curve of his neck when I slip my hand down his shorts and grip him firmly in my hand. He throbs against my hold, and it intensifies my desire to have him. As I let out a deep moan, I inch myself down the length of his body and between his legs. Slipping his shorts off, I toss them aside before lowering myself and taking him in my mouth, tasting him. Ugh, fuck, he moans out and tugs my hair. This isn't something I've ever done with guys. They've always done this to me. The shame that has always come along with me giving a man anything like this would dredge up all of my feelings about how uncomfortable I am with being gay. Like, the idea of me giving another guy head would somehow take me to a new level of gay. It's stupid. It's my own fucked up way of trying to rationalize things. But I want to give this to him. I want to leave those screwed up thoughts behind because I love him, even though I'm not quite ready to say it. I'm scared, and I know it. I feel closer to him than anyone else, but I still need more, and this is the only way I know how right now. I take my time and focus on making him feel as good as I can. I give, not wanting anything from him in return. My mouth is clenched firmly around him as I use my hand to add more pressure, and when I squeeze tighter, his moan is deep. Oh, God, Jace. Hearing him say my name like that does me in, and I quicken my pace and suck harder. I know he's close when I feel him swell even more. He bucks his hips, and I grip him with my free hand as he begins to come. Oh, God, don't stop, he pants, and I don't. I let him ride it out for as long as he can hold on, and when he relaxes underneath me, he reaches down and pulls me up to him. I hover over him as he stares up in my eyes, his face flushed. He gives me a sexy grin before he lowers me down to him and kisses me. There's something about this kiss that's more intimate than any of our others. Giving Mark this, something I have never given anyone else, makes me want to give him even more. There's no shame, no regret. There's only love for the man that is showing me that it's okay to be me. I rest my body on top of his, and we wrap each other up in our arms as we continue to slowly move our lips together. It's all we do for a while. It's all I want to do. Getting lost in him is peaceful in a way I can't describe. He calms me when we are together like this, and I don't want this with anyone but him. Not wanting to stop, I mumble against his lips, "I just want you." He pulls back and places his hands along my jaw. "You have me." Chapter 16. "What are you doing?" "I don't know," Mark says in frustration, as he stares at the smoke rising from the pan. I laugh and nudge him away from the stove. Flipping the bread over, it's charred black. "You are completely helpless in the kitchen, you know that? I told you it's pointless trying to teach me how to cook." "Dude, it's grilled cheese," I say, as I toss it in the trash can. "Any child could make that, but you turn that shit on high and scorch it." Mark laughs as he says, "Babe, can we just order a pizza? I'm done trying to cook." Rinsing out the pan, I look up at him and smile while shaking my head. Hopeless. "We're eating pizza," he asserts, as he plucks his cell from the counter. "Hey, can you plug in my laptop? I think my battery is about to die." Nodding his head, he gets my laptop from my backpack and plugs it in as he's ordering us dinner. The past couple of weeks at school have been busy with our project's initial presentations to our professors. I've fallen a little behind with everything, so although Mark insisted on coming over and hanging out tonight, he promised to help me with some of the drafting I need to get done. "Okay, pizza is on its way." I wipe down the counter and walk over to the couch where my laptop is plugged in and open it up. "Do you have any heat packs here?" Mark asks. "My shoulder's been killing me ever since we left the gym this morning." "Yeah, I have some in my bag in the closet." When he comes back out of my room, he takes his shirt off and sits down next to me, holding the pack against his shoulder. I never knew that Ryan worked out at our gym, but last week Mark had run into him, so we've been meeting up a couple of times a week to lift weights. Ryan is pretty quiet for the most part, but despite what Gavin had told me, he seems like a good guy. "I think Candace left some Tiger's Balm over here if you want to use it," I tell him. "She's crazy with that stuff," he laughs out loud. "She is the only person I know who smears that crap on and then wraps her legs up in saran wrap." I bust out laughing at all the times I have seen her do that. She swears it works better that way. She's been doing it for years. Shaking his head, he says, "That girl cracks me up with how serious she is." "Yeah," I sigh, as he props his feet on the coffee table and leans into me. He grabs the remote and turns it to Sports Center as I get some AutoCAD work done while we wait for dinner to get here. When a commercial comes on, Mark asks, "Has Ryan said anything about Gavin? I haven't been seeing him around lately." Continuing to work on my project, I keep my eyes fixed on the screen when I tell him, "Ryan isn't much of a talker, but I could tell that Gavin was starting to piss him off the other week." "Huh. Why?" "No reason. Just wondering," he says. I chuckle at him and tease, "You're nosy." "I'm not nosy." "It kills you that you can't know everything that goes on outside of your presence." He starts laughing because he knows it's true. We both do. Mark loves gossip and is always filling me in on crap I couldn't care less about. But I don't ever say anything. It's just one of his quirks that I get a kick out of. "Dude, I want to know what the hell happened. Gavin said they used to be really close." "Okay, fine. All I know is that Gavin had said that Ryan has started acting weird in the past few weeks. He told me that Ryan used to spend his time doing not much more than hooking up with chicks, and then suddenly he stopped. That's all I know. Is that enough gossip to satisfy you? Did you ask anything? What? No, man, I don't really care. I just laugh at him as I continue to work. When the pizza comes, I take a break and eat before getting back to my project. Rolling out my blueprints, he helps me mark them up. I hear my phone ring from the kitchen, and when I walk over and pick it up, my stomach clenches with anxiety. Looking up at Mark, I say, "It's my mom," before I answer it and walk to my bedroom. "Mom, hi." "Jason?" She sighs out, and I can tell that she's been crying. I walk around my bed and sit on the edge. "Is everything all right?" I ask her. Despite everything, I still love my parents, flaws and all. They are the only family I have. "I haven't been okay since you left. I've been praying for you every day. I miss you." "I miss you too." I grasp onto the hope that she's had a change of heart about me. I hear her cries thicken as she continues to talk. "I'm worried about you, dear." "Mom, don't cry. I'm fine. You don't need to worry about me," I try to assure her. "But I am. I want you to come home." "I can't come home right now. I'm in the middle of the quarter." "No, I think you should move back here." Lowering my elbows to my knees, I ask, "What are you talking about?" as hope slowly starts to fade. "Ever since you left, you've been a completely different person. I talked to Pastor Richardson, and he agreed to see you for counseling to try and help you work through whatever is going on." "Mom," I breathe out, and I hear the desperation in her voice when she pleads, "Please, Jason, you're the only child I have left." She's crying, and I take a moment before I speak, as disappointment overtakes my wasted optimism. "There isn't anything to fix, and this didn't happen when I moved away, Mom. I've been this way my whole life." "I know that's not true. God didn't make you this way. You can't live like this. It's wrong." Hearing her voice and hearing her pain, I feel so guilty. I listen to her cry when she says, "This is a choice, Jason, and you're choosing wrong." I feel the bed dip down behind me, and Mark rests his forehead against my back as I defend. "There's no choice to make. It is what it is, Mom." "At least come home for a few days so we can talk about this." "I don't think that's a good idea." "Please let me try and help you, please." Holding my head in my hand, I swallow hard against the disappointment and hurt building up inside of me. "I don't need help. I need you to love me enough to accept me." I don't wait for her to say anything before I hang up and toss the phone on the bed. Cradling my head in my hands, Mark plants a kiss on my back through my shirt. He doesn't say anything, and I take my time before speaking. "She's so upset." "I'm sorry." "She's so upset, and it's all my fault." I shift to the side and lie back on the bed, draping my arm across my forehead. Lying down next to me, Mark props himself on his side and says, "You're not the cause of her pain." When I don't say anything, he grabs my arm and moves it away from my face. "Look at me," he says, and then repeats, "You aren't the cause of her pain." "I am," I say when I look up at him. "She wouldn't feel this way if it weren't for me. Because of me, there's this rip in my family." "You're not responsible for that, though. They are. They're the ones that pushed you out." "Because of me." As he rakes his hand through my hair, he says, "Because of them, Jace. It isn't you. You're not doing anything wrong." What if I am? I mean, maybe that's why I can't get past this shit. What shit? I shift over so that I can lie on my side and face him. For the most part, I'm fine. With you, I'm fine, but I can't help the times when it feels wrong to be myself. There is nothing about you that I can see that's wrong, he says softly. But that's you. She thinks I'm a sin, that I'm going to hell. I pause before asking, Am I? He closes his eyes and leans his forehead against mine. I don't believe that. When he pulls back, I look into his eyes when he tells me, It doesn't make sense to me if that were true. Why God would do this and then force us to deny it? That's fucked up. You know this isn't a choice. So how can it be a sin if God created us this way? His words hit where they always do, straight through my heart. I've always had these thoughts, but have never said them to anyone. Getting this out, and having Mark be the one to do this with, makes me trust him. How can this be wrong? To love someone, how can love be a sin? Whether it's right or wrong, all I know is Mark is the one person I need. Don't walk away from me if I push you. I know how I get sometimes, but I'm trying to get past it, I confess. Running his hand down my cheek, he says, I'm not walking away, and I'm not going to let you screw this up. I know what I feel for Mark, so I don't even give it a second thought when I finally tell him what I've already been feeling. I'm falling in love with you. That sexy smile I love so much creeps across his face, and then he tells me, Good, because I've been in love with you for a while. I just didn't want to say anything until you were ready. I don't deserve to have this man who puts my feelings above his own, but I won't deny him. Wanting to put an end to this war I've been battling inside of myself, I surrender my heart and trade it for his. I press my lips against his and move slowly as I graze my teeth along his bottom lip. Mark pulls me flush against him, and I wrap my arms around him, feeling the muscles flex in his back as he moves against me. I want him so bad, and I have to force myself not to rip his shorts off and bury myself inside him. I reach my arm back and tug my shirt off over my head. Rolling on top of him, I run my mouth down his neck, nipping along the way to his chest. His skin is hot on my lips, and when I hit the waistband of his shorts, I shift them down and peel them off. But before I can do anything, Mark has flipped me on my back. He crushes his mouth with mine and possesses me with his tongue. My emotions are running on high, and I've never wanted anyone like I want him. All of him. Grinding himself against me, I grow harder for him. He tugs my shorts off and fists me in his hand, stroking me slowly. Closing my eyes, I roll my head back into the pillow and feel the intense pleasure when Mark takes me in his hot mouth. Jesus! I nearly growl out when he brushes his tongue over me. Mark slows his movement and switches our pace. He begins to trail kisses up my abs and then straddles my hips, settling himself on top of me. I cup my hands on his face and bring him down to me. His head rests against mine, and I feel the need to assure him of my feelings. I really do love you. I know you do, he whispers. You're the only one. And he is. Nodding his head, he kisses me but doesn't move his lips. We're just still for a while. It's only when I reach over to the nightstand and open the drawer that he finally drags his lips from mine. When Mark makes sure we're ready and protected, he reaches behind and guides me inside of him. With his legs spread across my lap, he takes his time taking me in before he starts to move, and when he does, it feels so fucking good. I've never had emotions tied to sex, and the closeness I feel with Mark right now is more than what I thought could be possible. Running my hands up his thighs, he rolls his hips over me. I slide one of my hands behind his neck and bring him down to me, needing to be closer to him. He kisses me, and I can't control myself when I groan into his mouth. We continue to take our time with our kisses as I begin to stroke him. He wraps his hand around my hand, and we work together as we both start to increase our movements. When Mark whispers in my ear, "God, I love you," I find it hard to control myself, and I thrust myself deep inside of him. His hand tightens around mine, and I quicken my pace slightly as I pump the length of him. Everything about this feels so good, and I'm on the verge of losing it. Dropping his forehead to mine, Mark grinds himself down on me as I feel the heat of him when he starts to come in my hands. His body jerks, and seeing him like this, on top of me, throws me over. I bury myself deep inside of him as my body explodes beneath his. I grip his hips and dig my fingers into his skin as I thrust up into him a couple more times. He looks down at me, grinning with a sheen of sweat covering his neck. "Come here," I breathe, and when he leans back down to me, I kiss him, licking him deep and taking all he's willing to give. He shifts off of me and reaches over to grab my shirt. After he cleans us up, he tosses the shirt to the floor, and I draw him in close to me. Lying face to face, he says, "Thanks." I run my fingers along his face and softly ask, "For what?" "Giving me something new." "What do you mean?" I ask. "That's not normally my thing, but I know it isn't yours either," he admits, and suddenly I feel like a dick. Shit. I'm sorry. No, I mean, I've bottomed before, but it's never been like that. He kisses me before continuing. "I've never felt for anyone the way I do you, so I don't mind." "You should have said something." "I love you, so it doesn't matter. I just wanted you to know." We shift and get comfortable in each other's arms. We don't talk. We don't need to. He knows where my heart is at, as we simply lie together in the aftermath of making love and wrap ourselves up in each other. Chapter 17. The past couple weeks have been busy with school. My professors didn't like my initial design, so I have been busting my ass trying to come up with a new concept. I've fallen even further behind, and Mark has been helping me with the tedious renderings and markups to help me catch up. My mom called again last week in another attempt to get me to come back home. Hearing the pain in her voice is hard on me. I hate it. I love her so much, but her unwillingness to accept me tears me apart. Mark is right, though. I'm not the cause of her sadness. A text from Mark brings me out of my thoughts. "On my way. Got hung up with practice." "It's cool. I'll go ahead and get your drink." I grab Mark coffee and wait for him to meet me. He's been having more band rehearsals because they've been busy writing some new material since they play every week at Ryan's bar. When he finally walks into the coffee shop, he looks pissed. He spots me and makes his way back to where I am. Sitting down, he grabs his coffee and takes a sip. "What's wrong?" I ask. Setting his cup down, he lets out a deep breath. "Aiden is just pissing me off. He keeps fucking around with my music and changing it up. I don't have time to be learning all these new songs to have him go right back and change them." "What does everyone else say?" "Everyone is pissed at this point, so today was nothing but a bitch session, wasting my time." Leaning back in his chair, he continues. "He wants to play some of the new stuff tomorrow night, but it isn't ready." "That sucks." "Yeah, I know. Anyway, enough of my bitching. Did you show Gibson your new design?" "Uh-huh. He really liked it, so hopefully I won't have to go back and change anything, and I can start to catch up," I say. I have been so stressed out lately with this project. "That's good. Well, I'm about to submit my stuff for presentation, so when I do, I'll have some more free time if you need any help." His eyes shift over my shoulder as I say, "Thanks." When Mark gives a slight nod, I turn to see who he's looking at. Shit. When I see Preston walking over, I turn to stone as panic courses through me. How the hell does Mark know him? "Hey, what's going on?" he says, as Mark stands to give him a friendly clap on the shoulder before sitting back down. "Not much. Was actually just with Aiden." I shift uncomfortably in my seat, and then Mark looks at me, saying, "Jace, this is Preston. He's a friend of Aiden's." "I already know Jace." Preston butts in with a snide smirk on his face, and I quickly stammer and tell Mark, "Yeah, we've run into each other a few times." Suddenly, what I felt was nothing more than an irrelevant hookup, just like all the others, seems more like a lie of omission from Mark, and I'm caught in the confines of remorse and anxiety. Distraction saves me when I hear my phone ring. When I take it out of my pocket, I look to Mark and say, "It's Candace." As soon as I answer it, I can hear her crying, and the bullshit happening in front of me vanishes in an instant. "Sweetie, are you okay?" She can hardly get her words out through her breaths. "No, I need you. Please." "What happened?" I ask, and immediately stand up, shrugging on my jacket, needing to get to her. Mark stands up and starts following me out the door as I walk away from one of the many regrets of my past. "I can't breathe." Her voice is strained as she speaks through heavy gasps. "I'm on my way. Just try to relax," I tell her. She hangs up the phone, and I rush to my car. "What's going on?" Mark asks. I have no clue, but she's crying and freaking out. "I gotta go. Sorry, I'll call you, okay?" I say as I hop into my car. "Yeah, go. Let me know what's going on." I don't even respond when I peel out of my parking spot and start speeding to her house. Everything from that exchange back there seems so trivial compared to what Candace is going through, and right now, she needs me. My heart beats hard as I try to get to her. Running through stop signs and honking at the slow-ass people driving on the road, I finally rip into her driveway. Fiddling with my keys, I find the one for her door. When I walk in, I can hear her faint cries. Going into her room, I open her closet door and see her lying on the floor covered in vomit. "Shit! What happened?" I say, as I rush to her and scoop her up in my arms. She clings to me as I carry her into her bathroom and start stripping off her soiled clothes. She's vacant as she sits on the edge of the tub, crying and shaking, and my heart breaks for her. Never have I seen a person so broken, but to have Candace be this person debilitates me in a way I wish I'd never have to feel. I toss her shorts and shirt into the tub and kneel down between her legs. Holding onto her knees, I whisper, "What happened, sweetie?" She just shakes her head and covers her face with her hands as she cries. I wrap her up in my arms and hold her. I hold her for what feels like a long time, until she softens in my arms. When I look at her, she's exhausted. I don't say anything. I know she hates talking when she's this upset. I walk over to the shower and turn the water on. I return to her and pull her up. "You need me to help you clean up?" I ask. She shakes her head and takes off her underwear before stepping into the water. I give her space and leave her alone while I go to the laundry room and grab some towels to clean her closet floor. I don't know what the hell happened, but I'm pretty sure she had another one of her nightmares. This is the stuff that makes me feel so guilty for not being around more. After cleaning everything up, I go back into her bathroom and grab her clothes, and I see her arms braced on the tile wall as she stands under the shower head. Her head is hanging down, and I just want to grab her and take it all away, but I can't. I can't do anything to make this stop hurting her. I walk back to the laundry room and toss everything in the washer and start it. When I return to her room, the water is still running, so I call Mark. "Hey, babe, how is she?" he asks. "Not good. I hate this," I say, deflated, like somehow I've let her down. "What happened?" Letting out a sigh, I tell him. "When I got here, she was in her closet crying. She had thrown up and was lying in it. "Oh my God," he's worried. I can hear it in his voice. She hasn't said anything yet. She's in the shower now, but I know she had another nightmare. She doesn't take her sleeping pill when she takes naps in the middle of the day. "You need me to come over there?" he asks, and I love that he does. "No, it's fine. I'm going to stay here for a while, though. There is no way I can leave her like this. I don't want to." "Maybe you should talk to her about seeing a therapist or something." "Yeah, I'll try, but I know she'll just shut me down," I say, and then hear the shower turn off. "God, I feel so bad for her," he says in a soft breath, and I am right there with him, feeling the pain. "I know. She's getting out of the shower, so I need to let you go." "Okay. I love you." "I love you too. I'll call you later." I go ahead and grab Candace some clothes from her dresser and take them to her in the bathroom. She gets dressed and throws her hair up on top of her head. I take her hand and pull her into bed with me and hold her. She clings to me and buries her head in my chest. Whispering, I ask, "Another nightmare?" "Yeah," she breathes out. "Want to talk about it?" "No." Pulling her hairband out, I start combing my fingers through the wet strands. "I really think you should talk to someone about this." "Jace, please don't." "I know you don't want to, but it's been a couple of months and I feel like you're just sinking further away. I'm worried." "It's fine. I just need a little more time to pass," she says, and I kiss the top of her head. Time. She believes time is all she needs, and everything will just fade away. She's living in denial, and I don't know how to get through to her. I have tried so many times in my own way, but she avoids the conversations every time. I just need her to be okay, and she is so far from it. She's just deteriorating into a shadow of what she used to be. My heart has never ached as much as it does for her. "You don't have to stay here," she mumbles against my chest, and she's crazy if she thinks I'm leaving her here alone after what I just saw. "I'm not leaving you." It takes a while, but eventually she falls into a fit of restless sleep. I check the time on my phone and see it's nearing 7 o'clock. I hate to wake her, but I do anyway. "Candace," I whisper, not wanting to startle her out of her sleep. "Candace, wake up." She moans in response. "It's almost 7. Why don't you go ahead and take your pill for the night since you're so tired?" She nudges her head against me before lifting it up to look at me. "Where are they?" I ask. "In the bathroom, in the second drawer." I slide out from underneath her and grab a pill from the bottle. When I walk back to her, I hand her the half bottle of water already on her nightstand, along with the pill. She sits up on the edge of the bed, and when she sets the water down, she looks up at me and says, "I'm sorry." I sit next to her and hold her hand. "Never be sorry for needing me." I lean in and give her a kiss. "I will always be here for you." I stayed with Candace all night last night. We barely got any sleep because she kept having night terrors. Although I'm tired, I'm going to hang out at Blur while Mark's band plays tonight. He already left to meet the guys to run through some new songs they'll be playing tonight, so I text Ryan to let him know I'm on my way there. Ryan and I have been hanging out a bit more lately. He's a cool guy to chill with, so he stops by every now and then to have a beer and watch TV. And whatever funk he was in when I first met him seems to have disappeared a bit, and he has become a little less intense and moody. I pull around to the back lot of Blur and park my car. When I go in, I head up to Ryan's office to hang out for a bit. When I walk in, he is sitting behind his desk drinking a beer and flipping through a pile of papers. "Hey man," I say, before walking over to the small steel fridge that sits on the floor behind his desk. As I grab a beer, he says, "Can you toss me another one of those?" I pop the caps and hand him a bottle before I sit down. "So, you been up here all day?" Pretty much. You know how Saturdays are. Crazy as hell all day. He takes a long swig of his beer and then says, Missed you last night. Mark said you got hung up with a friend? Yeah, sorry about that. She's been going through a rough time, so I decided to stay with her last night. I was supposed to go out to a private concert to hear one of the bands that Gavin had just signed. I told Mark to go ahead and go when I decided to stay the night with Candace. You missed a pretty good show. That's what Mark said. Ryan laughs and says, Your guy's a little crazy when he drinks. I'm not even going to ask, but he was in a piss-ass mood when I saw him earlier, I say through my laughter as I shake my head. I bet. He drank a shitload, probably hungover as fuck. We both laugh when the door opens and Mark walks through. What's so funny? He asks as he stands there. You, man, Ryan says. If this is about last night, I don't even want to know what the hell I did. My head has been pounding all damn day, and now I have to play for the next 2 hours. Go find Max. He always has earplugs, Ryan tells him. Not a bad idea. Looking at me, he asks, Can I stay with you tonight? My new roommate just decided to tell me that he's throwing a party tonight. Yeah, no problem. Well, I gotta run. I just wanted to catch you, he says, and then turns to leave. Mark has been keeping more distance between us when we are out, knowing that it still makes me uncomfortable. I hate that he feels like he has to do that for me. I know I need to get over it and try to force myself to show more affection with him when we are around others. I just need to push myself to take that step. But now I need to be honest and tell him about Preston. I never even felt like it was something I ever had to disclose to him, but now, knowing that they know each other, makes what happened relevant. When Ryan and I walk down, I head over to the bar to say hi to Mel. We talk off and on like we usually do while I sip my beer. What's up with Mark? She asks as she nods her head toward the stage. Turning to look at him, I laugh at the crap mood you can tell he's in, and the neon orange earplugs he's wearing. I look back at Mel and say, He's hungover. That sucks. I look over to see Ryan being mauled by some redhead. He normally pushes off every girl that comes his way, so I'm a bit shocked and just laugh as I turn back to Mel. Looks like he's back to his old self, she says with a smirk, before walking away to help some customers. After some time has passed, I watch Ryan take that chick out the back by her hand. Hey, Mel, I holler down the bar. When she looks up at me, I say, You think I could get a bottle of water when you get a chance? Sure, hon. I overhear the two girls next to me talking about Mark and how the one girl plans to slip him her number. This isn't the first time I've heard this. Girls are all over his junk. And lately, it's been making me feel more possessive of him. Everyone assumes he's single and straight because I'm so self-conscious of what people will think of me if they saw us simply holding hands. I continue to eavesdrop as they start downing shots and getting drunk. The band takes a break between sets, and Mark approaches me as he lifts up the hem of his shirt to wipe the sweat off his forehead, exposing his abs, which the drunken girls thoroughly enjoy. Sitting next to me, his elbows propped up on the bar, I take a big push and lay my arm on the bar and hold his hand, lacing my fingers with his. He looks over at me and into my eyes as he smiles. I know this gesture means a lot to him, and all that really matters is that this makes him happy. Chasen comes over to grab a beer, standing next to us. Oh my God, one of the girls yells out, drunk off her ass, and the three of us look over at her. She's laughing and shaking her head as she looks at Mark before slurring, You're a fag? I jerk my hand away from his, and my neck heats from fear and embarrassment. You're fucking wasted and need to watch the shit you say, Chasen barks at her. I stand up and start walking away, needing to get out of this situation when I hear her continue. I would have never guessed he was queer. When I look back, I see Mark following me and Chasen grabbing the girl's elbow, dragging her out. I walk through the back door and out into the parking lot, welcoming the cool mist that's falling. "Jace, wait!" Mark shouts from behind me, pleading me to stop, but I don't want to. Walking to my car, I say over my shoulder, "I just need space, man." But I need so much more than space. That girl was drunk and a total bitch. Don't let her upset you. When I reach my car, I turn around to him and say, "I'm not upset." Embarrassed, ashamed, humiliated. Walking up to me, he backs me up against the side of the car. "Well, you're something and you shouldn't be. I don't want you to be." I hang my head down before looking back up at him. I'm irritated. I then admit, "The thing is, you get a lot of attention from girls, and I feel invisible when what I really want is for people to know that you're mine. But I don't know how to do that." "You don't have to do anything. You know I'm yours. I don't see anyone else but you." He reaches down and holds my hand. "People will always say shit, but you need to let it go." "I'm trying." "I know you are," he says, as he slides his free hand around my waist and kisses me. "Come on, let's go," he says, and then walks around to the passenger door. "What are you doing? You still have another set to play." "I'm done. My head is pounding and I feel like shit." He opens the door and hops in. When I slide into the driver's seat, Mark pulls out his cell. "I'll text Chasen and have him tell the guys." "Are they going to be pissed?" Reaching over and grabbing my hand, he says, "I don't care. I just want to go home and lie down." I begin to stir and slowly wake up. When I roll over, Mark isn't there. I lie there for a bit when I hear soft voices coming from the living room. Walking out, I'm surprised to see Candace in Mark's arms, crying quietly on the couch. Her head is buried in his chest, so she doesn't see me, and I don't say anything. Mark looks at me with a slight shake of his head, so I just sit in the chair and stay quiet. I hurt for her. Seeing her broken and hopeless tears me up inside. I hate the thought that she was so scared or upset that she had to drive here in the middle of the night. I want to hold her, but I let Mark take care of her. "Want to talk about it?" he quietly asks her, and when she lifts her splotchy, tear-stained face, she looks over at me. I give her a reassuring nod, and she looks back at Mark and whispers, "I'm sorry, I just didn't want to be alone, but I guess I just didn't think you'd be here. I'm not used to Jace having a boyfriend." She stumbles over her words and closes her eyes when she continues, "I'm just so tired." "I know," Mark says, as he brushes her hair behind her ear. He tucks her head under his chin, and she clings to him. Mark and I stare at each other across the dark room as he holds her, and I know I'm in deep with him. I love him so much. Mark has completely been there for me in the past couple months, giving me strength and a shoulder to lean on. I've never had that before. I never knew I needed that until him. Standing up, I walk over and pull Candace up off the couch and hug her. When Mark starts heading back to the bedroom, I take her hand and follow. She slides into bed with Mark and I on either side. Facing her, I wipe her cheeks with my thumb and give her a kiss. "I'm sorry I barged in." "You didn't. I'd rather you be here with us than alone and scared." "I just don't know how much longer I can do this," she says. "He's always there at night, and it's so hard lying in the dark waiting to fall asleep. But I never know if he's going to be there, too, in my dreams." Mark curls in around her from behind and tells her, "You need to talk to someone." I watch as her face scrunches up and she begins to cry again. Leaning my head against hers, she weeps. "I can't." "You can. I know you're scared, but you can." Mark tries to convince her. I look into Mark's eyes and see the concern. I know Candace wants to ignore and forget, I don't push it because she doesn't need to hear it again. You'll get past this. There will be a time when it'll begin to fade, I tell her. But how long will that take? She whimpers. Mark wraps his arm over and around her waist and wedges it in between Candace and me. However long it takes, you have us. But Jace is right. It will eventually become easier. She closes her eyes and lets the tears seep out onto the pillow as I tighten my hold on her. Even though I know she's hurting, even though I know her pain is nearly unbearable, this is one of my most favorite places. Next to being in Mark's arms, being with the two of them, like this, is a close second. Chapter 18. When I walk into the gym, I spot Ryan over by the free weights. I make my way back there, and when he finishes his set of squats, he looks over and says, Hey, man, I didn't expect to see you here. One of my classes was canceled, so I wanted to come since I figured the afternoon would be dead. I walk over and start sliding the weights onto the barbell, securing them with clamps. Pumping out my sets of bench presses, Ryan stands above and spots me. Got any plans this weekend? He asks as he grabs the bar from my hands and sets it in the rack. No. Isn't it Mark's off weekend? The band gets one Saturday off a month. Yeah. We don't normally do anything, just hang out at home, I tell him, as I lie back down to start another set. Ryan lifts the bar and places it in my hands. Pushing out my reps, he says, I've got some extra tickets for a small concert at Spines if you guys are interested. Taking my time to finish my set, I don't respond until he grabs the bar back out of my hands. Who's playing? The XX. No shit. How did you score something like that? I ask as we switch places, and he lies down on the bench. He grabs the bar, and I lift it out of the cradle for him. Before he lowers it down to his chest, he says, Gavin. The XX is Candace's favorite band. She is constantly playing their music when she studies. The last few weeks, we have been trying to get her out of the house to go out with us, but she refuses. If I tell her about this, I am almost positive she wouldn't turn it down. Knowing she's really freaked out with crowds, I ask, How many people do you think are going? As I take the bar from him, he sits up and says, Small, man. 100 or so. You coming? Yeah. You have 3? A good friend of mine is a huge fan, but she doesn't do well with a lot of people, you know? When he lies back down for another set, he asks, Why's that? Paranoid, I guess, I say, and then catch myself. I shouldn't have said anything, knowing that she will most likely be meeting him. He gives me a strange look and then says, Yeah, I've got 3, before finishing his last set. We continue lifting, working on arms, chest, and back for the next hour. When we finish up, I grab my bag and take out my cell to text Mark about Saturday. He's spending the day with Candace, so I make sure to tell him to keep his mouth shut until I can talk to her. You ready? I've got the tickets in my car, Ryan says, as he grabs his bag. Yeah, let me get out this last text to Mark. When I shove the phone into my bag, we start walking out, and Ryan states, So, you guys seem to be doing better. Yeah, I mean, we weren't ever not good. I trail off, not really wanting to tell him too much. But when he prompts, Just what? I decide to tell him. I used to screw around a lot, so I wasn't too quick on letting Mark in. Ryan nods and says, I get that. I never get involved. I know why I never got involved, so I wonder what his reason could be. I go ahead and reveal, I don't like people judging me, so I used to put a lot of distance between us when we'd go out together. When we get to his black Rubicon, he tosses his bag in the back seat and shuts the door, saying, People who would judge are fucking assholes, and I can assure you that no one that works for me would. Thanks, but it's my hang-up, and I know it. Opening up the driver's side door, he reaches over to the center console and pulls out the tickets. He hands them to me and says, "Well, at least you're working it out. So, I'll see you guys Saturday?" "Yeah, thanks for these, man." "No problem. I gotta run, but I'll catch up with you later," he says, as he hops up into his Jeep. "Later," I say, and then turn towards my SUV. I take the rest of the afternoon to study and finish writing a paper for one of my classes. Candace picked Mark up earlier today, so I'm about to head over to her house to get him. I grab the tickets that Ryan gave me, hoping that it will be enough to pull her out of her funk and go out with us. I make the short drive through Fremont and into her neighborhood. The night is cold and misty, and when I get to her place, I let myself in. The house is dark and quiet. Walking into the kitchen, I see the two of them sitting around the fire pit in the backyard. When I open the door and walk out, they both turn to look at me. "Hey guys," I say, while I walk over to Mark to give him a kiss, and then turn to kiss Candace. "What are you guys doing out here? It's cold." "I'm fattening up your rail-thin girl over there," he says, as he holds up a nearly empty bag of marshmallows. He then turns to Candace to give her a wink. She just laughs and says, "Good luck, fatty." I'm relieved to see that she is in a playful mood, so I don't waste any time when I sit opposite her and say, "So, I want you to come out with Mark and I Saturday night." "Chase," she shakes her head, and suddenly that grin that Mark had just put on her face is gone. I start to explain before she completely shuts me down. "It'll be low-key, promise. Spines is closing early to have a private concert, and I was able to snag 3 tickets for us." "You want me to go to a concert?" "Candace, seriously, it's at a book and music store. It's a private show, but forget about that. You won't turn me down when I tell you who's playing." I know she's going to be excited, so I can't help the smile that crosses my face as I reach into my pocket and pull out the tickets. I hand her the solid black ticket with 2 white X's on it. Her eyes grow wide, and she all but snatches it out of my hand when she says, "Are you serious? How did you get these?" "A friend of Mark's." "Who?" Mark asks. "Ryan. I ran into him at the gym earlier today. We got to talking about music, and he mentioned the show. When I told him my best friend is a huge fan of the XX, he gave me a few extra tickets that he wasn't using." "Who's Ryan?" Candace asks as she looks over at me. Mark speaks up and tells her. "He owns the bar that my band has been playing at." She sits back, and I can tell she's hesitant and debating on what she should do as she stares into the bright fire. I really want her to do this. I want to show her that she doesn't always need to be scared, that she can be out, be around people, and realize that she's fine. I reach over and take her hand and try to reassure her. "I really want you to go. You'll be with the 2 of us. Nothing will happen." "I don't know. It makes me nervous." "I know," I whisper, "but nothing will happen. You have to start trying." Mark gives her an encouraging nod when she turns to look at him. She turns back to me, letting out a slow breath, and I know I got this. Her voice trembles slightly when she says, "Okay." I know she hates it when people fuss over her, so I simply sit back and say, "Thank you." "I need more marshmallows," she says. I laugh when Mark tosses her the bag, and she starts stabbing them onto her skewer. "Did you finish your paper?" Mark asks as he picks up the bottle of wine that is sitting next to his chair. "Yeah, I'm pretty much caught up with everything at this point. I am so ready for Thanksgiving break." "I could pass on that," Candace says as she eats her charred marshmallow. "When was the last time you spoke with your parents?" I ask her. She tosses her skewer down and tightens the blanket that's wrapped around her. "About 3 weeks ago. Last time my mother called, I hung up on her and we haven't spoken since." "What happened?" Mark asks her as he continues to drink his wine. "Same thing that always does. She tells me I'm not good enough, I'm not measuring up, I disrespect family commitments. Honestly, I'm used to it and normally just deal with it, but I don't have the energy right now." "Are you going to go home then?" I ask. Yeah, it's not worth the backlash if I don't. I mean, it's Thanksgiving. I can't not go home. We hang out for another half hour. Mark finishes off the bottle of wine, and he is definitely feeling the effects. I decide it's time to head out before he turns obnoxious. As we're driving back to my place, Mark leans over the console and starts biting along my neck, and by the laughing that accompanies it, I know he's had too much wine. I laugh at him, but quickly stop when he reaches down and starts rubbing me from outside my jeans. My grip on the steering wheel is firm, and I try to focus on the road so I don't get into a wreck. We're almost home. I can't concentrate with your hand on my dick. Mark laughs, and it only encourages him to not let up. Unbuttoning my pants, he grazes his nose up my neck and then bites my ear. Hard. Christ, I say, as I jerk my head away and slightly swerve the car into the other lane. Mark starts cracking up and begins tugging down my pants. He slips his hand beneath my boxers, and I'm already hard when he starts stroking me. You are so fucking hot, he nearly growls in my ear, and I could almost come from the sound alone. I grip his wrist and force him to stop. I'm going to drive us off the road if you don't quit. He doesn't let go of me, and I don't loosen my hold on his wrist either, as he begins ravaging my neck. Everything about this car ride home is making me lose control, and I throb in his hand. I pop the curb as I speed around the corner to get into the parking garage. Mark laughs, and I don't even give a shit when I turn to park, taking up 2 spots. I shut the car off, slam the seat back, and let go of his wrist. I practically pull him on top of me, claiming his mouth with my tongue as he jerks me off. After the fun we just had in my car, I say to Mark, "Hey, I need to talk to you about something," as we step into the elevator. "Yeah, I want to talk to you about something too," he says, and even though I need to tell him about Preston, my curiosity piques. "Yeah? What's up?" I ask him. The doors slide open, and we walk up to my apartment door as he says, "It's about Thanksgiving." Opening the door, we head over to the couch to sit down. I normally go home for Thanksgiving, but given the last couple of phone calls with my mother, that's really not a good idea right now. Propping my feet on the coffee table, I slouch back as he continues. "Why don't you come home with me?" My head snaps up to look at him. I'm caught off guard. "What?" "Don't freak out on me, Jace," he says, as he cocks his head to the side. I'm sure he can see the hesitation all over my face. Trying to keep my cool, I tell him, "Thanks, but I'm going to stay here." "And do what?" "Look, it would be one thing if your parents lived here and I stopped by for the day, but—" "I get it, but they don't live here, and I want them to meet you. So if that's ever going to happen, then you're going to have to come to Ohio with me." It's not so much the meeting them. It's not knowing what their reaction will be. Shit, I barely even talk to my parents at this point. Even though he tells me they are cool with everything, I'm not about to put myself in a situation that could backfire on Mark's intentions. How will they look at me? At us as a couple? "Are you going to say anything?" he asks. I don't want to hurt him, but I can't go. I can't chance the rejection. I'm not ready. Not yet. "I love that you want me to meet your family, but I don't think it's the right time." Shifting to face me, he says, "You know I love you, and you need to know that I would never ask you to put yourself in a situation that would hurt you." I know that he wouldn't, but I also know that people are unpredictable. And flying across the country to meet my boyfriend's parents after almost 4 months is a bit terrifying. "Yeah, I know," I sigh, and he returns with, "Don't say no. Just think about it." "Do your parents know about me?" "That's